In the bustling city of Ibadan, nestled within a small neighborhood where everyone knew each other's business, Tunde sat on the front steps of his parents' house. He was a young man of few words but had strong principles. He had just returned from university and was eager to start a new career in IT. "Ah, Tunde, you're back. How was your final exam?" his mother asked as she walked out with a tray of steaming jollof rice. "It went well, Mum," Tunde replied, trying to mask his worry with a smile. But something was bothering him, a rumor that had begun to circulate in the community. The neighborhood was buzzing with whispers that Mr. Ade, the local real estate broker and Tunde's father's old friend, had been bad-mouthing Tunde's family. Word on the street was that Mr. Ade claimed Tunde had cheated in his exams and bought his results. "Can you imagine?" Tunde said, his voice tinged with anger as he discussed the rumor with his best friend, Balaji, under a mango tree. "That man has always been jealous of your family," Balaji said, shaking his head. "He just wants to ruin your good name." Tunde's blood boiled whenever he thought of Mr. Ade's betrayal. His family had always been there for Mr. Ade. When his business was failing, Tunde's father had lent him money without any conditions. "How can he repay us like this?" Tunde muttered to himself as he paced the small family compound. The next day, Tunde decided to confront Mr. Ade. He found him chatting with other men at Mama Nkechi's buka, their voices rising above the clattering plates and faint smell of egusi soup. "Mr. Ade," Tunde called out, trying to maintain his composure. "I heard you've been saying things about me." Mr. Ade turned, a sly smile playing on his lips. "Ah, Tunde, congratulations on your graduation. Why such a scowl on your face?" "Why are you spreading lies about me?" Tunde asked, his voice firm despite the rising tension around them. "Oh, Tunde, don't take it personally. We're just discussing what everyone is saying," Mr. Ade replied, his tone mockingly innocent. "That's my reputation you're playing with," Tunde said, clenched fists at his sides. As Tunde walked away from the smirking face of Mr. Ade, the weight of the betrayal hung heavily on his shoulders. The neighborhood's trust, something he'd taken for granted, was now slipping away like sand through his fingers. One evening, while Tunde sat with his family at dinner, his younger sister, Sade, looked up with concern. "Broda Tunde, they're saying you might not find a job because of the rumors." His father sighed, resting his elbows on the table. "We can't let this affect us. It's time to clear your name." The words stung, but they also fueled the fire in Tunde's heart. He knew he couldn't let Mr. Ade win. He started losing sleep, tossing and turning with thoughts of betrayal and injustice. Even his university friends, who once congratulated him, began to distance themselves, unsure of what to believe. Desperate to clear his name, Tunde decided to follow Mr. Ade and gather evidence. He needed to find out how deep this betrayal went and who was really behind it. Late one evening, he watched as Mr. Ade met a stranger under the cloak of darkness. It was here Tunde's fears began to take shape, like shadows in the night. Tunde pored over every detail, determined to find clues. He felt the sting of shame each time a neighbor passed by with wary eyes, mothers pulling their children away from him as if he were contagious. With each passing day, Tunde's resolve hardened. He was no longer the boy who feared judgment. He was a man ready to reclaim his dignity. He began planning, writing down a list of people who could stand as witnesses, gathering his own documents to prove his achievements. Balaji joined him at the local cafe, their heads bent over papers. "You know," Balaji said, "the truth always comes out eventually. But if Mr. Adi thinks he can get away with this, he's in for a surprise." Tunde nodded. "I have to do this, not just for me, but for my family." The plan was to confront Mr. Ade publicly during the upcoming town meeting, where most of the community gathered. Tunde needed everyone to see the truth. "I'll need you there," Tunde told his sister, Sade. "I trust you with the evidence if something goes wrong." She agreed, eyes shining with determination. "We'll show them who you really are." On the eve of the meeting, a knock came on Tunde's door. It was Ayo, another neighbor, known for her sharp tongue and unyielding honesty. She brought news that shook Tunde's world and turned his anger into something more resolute. Ayo whispered with urgency, "Be careful, Tunde. I overheard Mr. Ade say he's got something big planned for you tomorrow. He might not play fair." As the dim light flickered in Tunde's room, he realized the stakes were higher than ever. This fight was not just about clearing his name, it had become a battle for his future. and a test of courage he wasn't sure he could pass alone. The evening air was thick with tension as Tunde stared into the flickering shadows, preparing to face the unknown, ready to stand at the edge of the storm about to break. The auditorium was packed, buzzing with the anticipation that crackled through the air like a summer storm. Tunde stood at the side with Balaji and Sade, his heart pounding a relentless rhythm in his chest. He clutched the folder of evidence tighter, the proof of his grades, attestations from professors, and letters that could clear his name. The community meeting began, voices rising and falling as leaders addressed the crowd. And then, like a dark cloud blocking the sun, Mr. Ade took the stage, his smile sharp and confident. He cleared his throat, preparing to speak, but Tunde's voice cut through the air. "Mr. Ade, before you address these good people, there's something I need to say." Mr. Ade paused, annoyance flitting across his face, but he gestured for Tunde to continue, perhaps thinking he could handle the young man's objections easily. Tunde stepped forward, his voice steady despite the storm swirling inside him. "I am here because my name and the integrity of my family have been dragged through the mud. Lies have been told. Lies I can prove false here and now." He held up the folder. "In this, I have every document you need to see what I've earned through hard work and perseverance." Mr. Ade smiled thinly, but his eyes flashed with uncertainty. The crowd murmured. Curiosity piqued. "Why should we believe you, Tunde?" a man called out. "Because my integrity and my faith are worth more to me than anything in the world," Tunde replied. "And I stand here willing to challenge any deceit that aims to take that away." As Tunde handed the folder around, Mr. Ade's expression shifted from playful to wary. Said stood by her brother's side, offering silent support. The community was watching, their judgment hanging in the balance. A commotion near the back halted the exchange. A security officer rushed through the crowd, whispering urgently to the elders. Surprise echoed through the room as the officer publicly declared, "A hidden camera was found in Tunde's room at his university lodging. We have the man responsible for planting it right here." Gasps rippled through the room, like a tide pulling back to reveal hidden land. The man, head down and shackled with guilt, pointed shakily towards Mr. Ade. "He paid me to do it, to set Tunde up, to catch him slipping, but I couldn't go through with it." The room erupted, a cacophony of disbelief and anger. Tunde felt a mix of relief and rage, his vengeance curling within him like a tight coil ready to strike. "You think you can play with people's lives, Mr. Ade?" Tunde demanded, voice loud and clear. But beneath the anger, there was something more, an emptiness the thought of revenge could not fill. The meeting disbanded into chaos. Accusations flew like daggers, sharp and destructive. Mr. Ade found himself cornered by a community he had underestimated, his suave manipulation now exposed as raw and ugly deceit. Tunde watched the man's veneer crumble, satisfaction mingling with a strange, hollow ache. He had fought for justice, uncovered the truth. Yet as Mr. Ade was hauled away by the police for further questioning, Tunde felt no peace. Back home, the family gathered in the dim living room. There was victory in clearing Tunde's name, but the evening left an aftertaste none could describe. Sade turned to her brother, her eyes wide with a wisdom beyond her years. "Broda, why didn't it feel good to see him fall?" Tunde shook his head, unable to find words. "I don't know, Sade. I thought I'd feel free, but I don't." Their father, silent until now, finally spoke. "Revenge is a fire, Tunde. It can burn us just as much as those we direct it towards." Tunde sat alone later that night, the quiet house echoing with stillness. He thought of the teachings he'd heard in church, who Jesus was, and the forgiveness he offered. But more than that, the peace he could bring, a peace that eluded Tunde despite his hard-fought justice. Balaji texted him, "How are you feeling?" Tunde typed back, "Heavy, Balaji. I thought this would end it all, but I still feel trapped." Balaji replied with a scripture, Romans 12:19, "Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. Maybe it's time to let God handle the rest." Faced with the weight of his life and the emptiness of his victory, Tunde found himself drawn to those words. He reached for the Bible his mother left on the table. Unsure of hope but needing something more than anger and bitterness, he turned to the Psalms, seeking solace amidst his turmoil. And as he read, a warmth like a gentle fire kindled within him. It wasn't the blaze of justice or the satisfaction of revenge, but a promise of renewal, even if he couldn't fully grasp it yet. The next Sunday, under a clear Ibadan sky, Tunde walked into church with his family. It was an understated step towards healing, towards forgiveness, toward a peace that promised not immediate freedom from trials, but transcendence over them. During the service, the pastor spoke on the heart's transformation, about letting God turn vengeance into victory through love. Forgiveness isn't for them, he said, it's for you. The words resonated deep within Tunde. He could feel the walls within him tremble and crack, as if God himself was whispering, "Let me carry what you shouldn't hold." After service, Tunde approached his father beside the small church garden. He was tired but alive in a way he hadn't felt in months. "Dad, I need to let go of this, or it'll destroy me." His father nodded, his gaze filled with understanding. "It's time to trust God with what you can't handle on your own. None of us are perfect, but with God, we're never alone, even in our struggle." In the weeks that followed, Tunde tried to rebuild, not just his reputation or his plans, but himself. He sought out the community leaders, offered apologies for how everything unfolded, and vowed to move forward with integrity, without malice. It wasn't easy, nor did it erase the scars of the conflict, but it began to shift something inside him. With Balaji's friendship, his sister's unwavering belief in him, and God's whisper in the quiet moments, Tunde found a new way to walk through the world. One morning, Tunde found a note slipped under his door. It was from Mr. Aid, written from the cell in which the consequences of his maliciousness had confined him. "I'm sorry," it read, shaking with regret. "I wanted what wasn't mine and lost everything. I hope someday forgiveness can replace what I've damaged." Tunde held the note for a long moment. He thought of what forgiveness might mean, not condoning, not forgetting, but releasing himself from the chain of bitterness that linked him to Mr. Aid. He folded the letter, a quiet prayer on his lips. "Lord, help me forgive as you have forgiven me." And though it wasn't perfect, as he slipped the note into his pocket, Tunde felt a lightness he hadn't known in years. He realized it was the beginning of something new, a reconciliation not just with Mr. Aid, but with himself and with God. Ibadan continued moving in the rhythm it always had. The people still whispered, the sun still rose and set, and among it all, Tunde found his place. No longer a prisoner to retribution, but liberated through forgiveness and faith. As he resumed life with renewed clarity and hope, he learned that scars were stories written on the skin of the soul, a testament to the power of grace and the quiet, relentless strength of God's love.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.